Hello everyone and welcome to a very emergency episode of the Crawley Town Supporters Alliance Simply Reds podcast. My name is Reuben and I'm joined by Luke. How are you, Luke?
All right, mate. All right, just, taking through life. Nothing particularly magic's happened in the last 11 hours and 43 minutes. I'm all right, yeah. Just, ex-manager who got us promoted 10 months ago has come back. Previous manager got the boot a couple of days ago. We've had an interim manager of 24 hours. We've had 3 managers in 4 days.
Impressive.
I think for Crawley standards, that's pretty magic. How are you doing?
Yes, not doing too badly, thanks. We were both on our lunch breaks, but we thought we'd use this opportunity to do a podcast. Because, it's been quite a hectic week. I mean, we thought that our podcast that got released on Wednesday morning was going to be the bombshell that's happened during the week, but no. That's almost been obliterated.
It's arguably the third most interesting thing that's happened this week in Crawley Town. And that's saying something. Never a dull week, as we say on every pod. Never a dull week supporting Crawley Town, even when we're getting battered week in, week out. Something always takes the limelight away from the actual football.
Oh, 100%. But I mean, we've got so many questions, so much to discuss. But firstly, Luke, where are you going for your tattoo?
I can't. I genuinely cannot believe it actually has happened, more so because of that. I was so confident that there would not be a hope in hell's chance that Scott Lindsey would be manager of Crawley Town Football Club this season or next season. I didn't think it was possible. I've sent an inquiry to a place. I've got the ball rolling. Tattoos aren't the easiest things to get booked in at short notice if you go somewhere decent. And obviously, when I'm getting something as magical as what Preston's beard was, which was a piece of art, then I want to get it done right. So yeah, I've sent an inquiry out to somewhere and I'm waiting feedback on that because I can't get out of it, can I, really, at this point?
But if anyone knows of any tattoo artists or if a tattoo parlour, is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Wants to sponsor our pod and sponsor the tattoo, then get in touch.
Free shout out for the next couple of pods if you do it free of charge. It'll take you about 10 minutes to do probably, so just get in touch and you can have shout outs for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, people have been talking about you recording it. I think Mark Dunford said he would eat his hat if Scott becomes the Crawley manager, so you could do it both at the same time.
Well, I think eating the hat will take a lot longer than getting the tattoo, to be honest with you. So I think I actually drew the better side of the draw with that one. So poor Mark, because I don't think any condiment's going to make eating your hat taste any better.
A bit of ketchup.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the taste of all that cloth and whatever else it is just. Good luck with that one, Mark.
So this all kicked off on Wednesday night when Rob Elliot got the sack, or I think they said left by mutual consent, as they do pretty much every manager nowadays.
The polite way.
And I think it came as a bit of a shock. I think we all knew it was going to happen at some point, but for it to happen on Wednesday evening, I can see we didn't even play on Tuesday, it was a bit of a surprise.
I didn't think it was going to happen at all. I kind of thought that ship had sailed. I know Saturday was really bad, and we're not sort of talking about the game specifically today. But obviously Saturday, the first half was as bad as it's been this season. That first 25 minutes was eye-opening for a lot of reasons. But I didn't think he was going to go. I thought he had been sort of the go-to guy for Wagney seemingly for a while before he actually came on board before Scott left. So I just thought, well, this season's a write-off. They'll reset in the summer and he'll get to start next season, probably with a fresh squad again, maybe some more players that he's accustomed to. So when he went, I was shocked. And the timing of it, was equally shocking as well as to why that day, why Wednesday, why not Sunday or Monday, and give the interim coaches a week to implement different ideas. And now we know the reason why, because they were clearly courting someone else. I'm speechless still. I'm so speechless, but I've still got, where is it? There we go. On
For those that are listening, Luke
Oh
has
yeah,
just shown the cup of Scott Lindsey's beautiful face
yeah,
on
yeah. I can't remember the
whatever it's
crowd
on.
who did these mugs, but on here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think like 5 or 6 players who still started the season with us, albeit one of them is Reggie the Red, and he didn't technically start the season with us. He wasn't here until January. Um, and on there is Jeremy Kelly and Jay Williams, Scott Lindsey, Ronan Darcy, Jack Rolls. And if you'd have told me that we'd only have, I guess technically 3, but 2 of them come March, um, in January, if you'd have told me that, I definitely wouldn't have said it would be Scott Lindsey and Jeremy Kelly, with the last 2 standing. Obviously, Jack Rolls is out on loan. So yeah, I am staggered. I am absolutely bewildered by it. What are your thoughts and feelings on it? Because I was coming home from somewhere at midnight, just before midnight, and I'd literally just sort of climbed into bed, and then ping, and then suddenly it was like, no, they're not. This is like some sort of teaser. This isn't happening now. And then, but like that whole video was just, it just, oh wow, it was magical.
Yeah, I'm just going back to your previous comment you made because you said it was like whether they knew that they're planning on getting in Scott and whatnot. But I don't know how sure they actually were, considering when they announced Rob was leaving, they said that Louis Story was taking over.
Yeah,
He then does the pre-match interview with Mark Dunford, and he speaks as if he's going to be managing the game on Saturday. Then a few hours later, bam, he's going Scottson, and to also then announce it at midnight.
yeah.
It's just very bizarre, and I don't really know what's happened behind the scenes or whatever. I mean, it's just in typical Crawley fashion. I mean, I wouldn't change it in any other way.
I, well, Sam Gadsden said online that he said it was like between 11:15 and midnight that they sort of did it all, kind of thing. So it was obviously, I don't know. Obviously, they obviously wanted to break it in a certain way, perhaps, or maybe it was going to break if by other means if they didn't get it out. But yeah, to get it out at midnight on the dot. As far as I'm aware, there's not like a signing list you have to do to submit who the manager's going to be on Saturday by a certain time on the day before a game, like you do with the squad or registering players. But yeah, it's an interesting one. But that certainly is gonna give us a buoyant and jubilant Broadfield tomorrow. Assuming that Scott's going to be sitting in the dugout, it's going to be a surreal experience tomorrow, and it's probably going to be, regardless of what the league position is, it's going to be a party atmosphere certainly for that build up to the game, and as we get into it, because we all know what Scott's like. We're all still used to his personality. We've seen the video that's just been released of him greeting Jeremy Kelly and calling him the best player in the world, and it's just stuff like that which is what endeared Scott to us all and why we loved him so much that first time round. So yeah, it's there's a lot of magic in the air right now. Again, seemingly, despite our predicament in the league.
Yeah, so he signed a contract, quite a long contract actually, till June 2028, which is what, basically
3 years,
3 years,
3 years.
3 months or
Yeah,
something.
that's got to be one of our longest contracts, if not our longest. Certainly for a manager as well. I can maybe see I can't even think of a player getting a 4 year. So 3 years, it's got to be the longest contract Crawley have ever handed out in modern history. It's mental.
Yeah, and Preston Johnson said, we're very excited to welcome Scott back to the Crawley Town. He then ends by saying, our lead investors are committed to a long-term vision, and Scott Lindsey is essential to that. I find the phrase, the lead investors, interesting. It's the first time we've heard lead investors, I think, by Preston or anyone from WAGMI. And so whether stuff behind the scenes is changing or has changed that we don't know about yet, I'm sure will be revealed over the next few days or weeks.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? I don't know what that means for the current ownership model. If there's changes afoot and changes afoot by who or of who. Scott Lindsey's the first piece in the dominoes, and there's still plenty of other changes that probably need to take effect for it to seem like the club's maybe really heading in a different direction, because we've seen 5 permanent managers now in 3 years under Wagme. So just changing the manager isn't going to fix what's happened this season. Ultimately, there's got to be other things going on in the background, and hopefully that will reveal itself sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and also it mentioned that Steve Hafner was going to be leaving. He's a coach that Crawley fans probably don't really know too much about, but I think he got Clubman of the Year the last season, and he is very highly thought of by Scott, who was brought in, I think, under Scott, and has stuck around. And it was announced that he was leaving, which I was again quite surprised about, considering I thought I had quite a good relationship. So whether Scott is planning to bring in some more of his coaches, will we see the likes of Ben Gladwin back? Will we see the likes of Cole Lowerman back? I'm
Certainly been a
sure.
lot of calls for Carl to come back, hasn't there, on social media? I haven't really seen anything for Ben. But yeah, obviously he's also announced his new assistant manager as well, which I assumed maybe we'd be seeing the likes of Jamie Day, etc., maybe come back. But it seems like maybe there's a slightly different direction we're heading in this time, and maybe that's down to stuff that's happened at Milton Keynes that's changed Scott's vision. I don't know, but certainly a lot of high praise for the incoming coach as well. So forgive me, his name's escaped me already. But yeah, excited to see what he can offer as well. Having been, I don't want to call him a journeyman. That seems disrespectful, but he certainly has knowledge of lower leagues and has had a decent career by all accounts. So yeah, only positives really.
Yeah. So what do you see Scott Lindsey's aim for the rest of the season then?
Win some football matches. I don't think there's anything. I still think it's. We're going down as far as I'm concerned. Unless we win the next 4 games, we're going down. We're not going to win 7, 8 of our last however many games left. We've got to win almost every game, I think, to have a real chance. I think it's just to win football games and bring a certain feeling back to this club that we haven't had for a lot of this season. I think we always knew it was going to be tough this year. I think it's been tougher than what we maybe anticipated for various reasons on and off the pitch. And I think Scott's a real motivator, not just to his players, but also to how he views the fans and how we revere him as well. So I think just by him being in the dugout is going to be a real boost. Tomorrow's result is, in a way, almost irrelevant now. I just feel like he's here now because changes are afoot in the club and things are going to hopefully be different, and that's going to take time. So the sooner we get him in and get his feet under the table, get him comfortable, then hopefully when we get to the summer, things will be a lot more calm, a lot more manageable, and we can rebuild again into a season where hopefully there's a bit more stability, or a lot more stability, I should say.
Yeah, I think for me, until it's mathematically impossible for us to stay up, then we need to just keep fighting. I think we're fortunate to be playing Bristol Rovers, and a team that we're probably trying to drag into the relegation fight, because I know what they're 6 or 9 points now adrift. We're 12 points away from them, so a win against them will definitely close the gap. And I know they've not been on very good form either. So hopefully, if we can get a bit of form, we'd. I wouldn't rule us staying out completely. It's a slim chance, but a bit of me is hopeful. And
Slim,
personally,
yeah.
I think if Scott is able to do this, then he deserves a knighthood, and I will get a tattoo of his face on my leg.
Oh, Jesus. There's too many tattoos being offered out. You started with Ronan Darcy being our top
Yeah,
scorer this season. We've got Louis wagering Will Swan won't score 10 goals, and suddenly, I know he didn't fire under Scott at all, to be fair, Will, but you never know. You never know. Suddenly, all it is, pressure will be off in a few weeks' time when we're confirmed down, and suddenly it doesn't really matter what happens, and that will be a big easing of the players' shoulders. So that could still happen, and then obviously I've stupidly done mine. So I think the CTSA Simply Reds need to take a step back from offering out tattoos, because currently we could be on for 2 out of 3 in one season, and that's pretty poor on our wagering if we're losing that amount
Yeah.
in one
We could have a
season.
group session.
Yeah, we could do. Yeah, I cannot believe we are where we are now after the sort of last few weeks. And do you know what I want to say because it's all really great talking about Scott, and it's lovely to be having a positive pod for once. I do feel for Rob Elliot. I did think he would still be here next season. I can appreciate the tough circumstances he was in. I appreciate fans voicing their displeasure because the football wasn't great at times and we didn't learn from our mistakes. And I feel like he could be sitting on social media watching this and watching sort of the Scott Lindsey love affair that's rekindled us all. And it seems like it would be a discredit to him as a person when in reality it wasn't his fault. He made mistakes managerially and tactically, I'm sure he'll admit, but I certainly don't think he's been scapegoated quite a lot, and I think hopefully he finds a job soon to show that he's actually a good coach, because I think he is, and I think he will do, but obviously it just hasn't worked here. So we obviously do hope Rob all the best, because we did only a couple of days ago say let's get behind Rob and the boys for Saturday, etc. And then 24 hours later it was like, we can't do that now, can we? Because Rob's not here. So sorry to see him go, but there we go.
For Rob, it's always going to be a lose-lose situation for him. It's like the person who had to take over from Sir Alex Ferguson at Man United. When you fall in love with a manager, it's always going to be difficult to replace him. But I think if go back to the question about what Scott's aim for the season, I think once it is mathematically possible, I think it's just going to be basically an early pre-season for us. And whilst we know a lot of the players will be leaving, hopefully there'll be a couple who will be remaining, and no doubt towards the end of the season we'll do a podcast looking at which players we want to keep and we want to go.
That's the point, isn't it? We'll get relegated, likely. We go back down to League Two, budgets get cut, etc. Players leave inevitably, as what happens when you get relegated. It almost doesn't make sense for Scott to come back now in a way, because what are the chances of him having even 50% of this squad next season? I can imagine, and I have a pretty good guess on who's going. I actually don't know who's out of contract in the summer, but I'm sure there's probably, again, a fair few, as there typically is. We do tend to typically hand out short-term deals, hence why we're so, not alarmed, but eyebrows raised at the length of Scott's deal. So yeah, it kind of doesn't make sense, because it's not like he can be thinking, or this club can be thinking, we'll sit there and you can get to know this squad early in anticipation for next season, unless somehow they are planning to keep a lot of this squad together. But I can't see it. I can't see it. I think we'll be looking at, again, wholesale changes, but maybe we'll have a better summer in terms of players we keep. I don't know. I think the next month is going to be critical in terms of understanding what the shape of the club now looks like above Scott Lindsey and in that senior leadership team, because this just seems so unusual from what we have been used to for the last couple of years with the ownership model. It's not by any means fixed or much better. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but it's obviously a step in the right direction in terms of appeasing fans and giving the fans something to smile about, certainly.
Yeah. And so where do you see the future for Wagme United? I mean, this week we released a podcast which was pretty damning about Wagme and the current club leadership. What do you see their future to be?
Where do we begin? We've had 3 years of Wagme. We've had highs, lows, lower lows, and we've had everything in between. It depends on what the situation is. We've had more visible feedback from other members of the Wagme group who I'd not come across before. I was aware of, but not seen necessarily publicly, as they were in the last 12 hours. So maybe changes are afoot in terms of, I still think things need to change behind the scenes. It doesn't change any stance in terms of what we said in the week about we need football people in charge of the club to better the club. What I'm hoping for is that there's evidence that now that we aren't just sitting here, to talk about the same mistakes happening in 3 or 6 months' time. Hopefully, someone at WAGMI has decided that actually ego's at the door. It's not working now. How we are running this club is not working now. We need to invest to look long term about retaining of getting back some of this money we've put in, because they've bled a lot of money, as they've been open about, sure. But if you're making the same mistakes and not amending them and picking up the wins where you can, i.e. the whole Wembley thing, and this season where we've had increased revenue and not seen any benefit of that off the pitch, or as much as maybe we thought we might, then you're going to keep bleeding money. So I think we need to see change at boardroom level. I think we need to see change at chairman level still. I think we need to discuss the whole Tobias Phoenix situation still and understand what's truly going on there. So that's where I'm saying. What I don't know. What do you think? How do you see it playing out now? Because it's a small win for WAGMI. Of course it is. Like, they've brought back someone who every fan adores, and regardless of whether it seems natural or right that he's come back, no one predicted it, evidently. I still think that it just doesn't change. It doesn't change anything. We're still in the same predicament we are. We still need wholesale changes at the club to become a more sustainable and a stronger group.
Yeah, I mean, I think for WAGMI, this could be a turning point between them and the fans. This has potential to be a brand new chapter for WAGMI and the club. And I just hope that they can kind of learn from their mistakes and use this moment as a point to really unearth the potential of Crawley Town Football Club. From a kind of Crawley Town Supporters Alliance perspective, I hope now that somebody from within the club or WAGMI can reach out to us to meet and discuss a way forward to repair the relationship that we've got. But yeah, I just hope that they can use this momentum for the better, because I mean it can very easily suddenly crash to the ground again, and everyone will be WAGMI out, leave the club, etc., etc. But I think it's important that WAGMI use this as a moment to show their leadership, which they have perhaps been lacking over the past few months. But I think there's definitely potential. Definitely lots and lots of potential. It's just about trying to unearth it and using the leadership from within WAGMI and the club to do that.
There's evidence that stuff is changing behind the scenes. Bringing back Scott when it was rumoured he wadded out for a while because of fallings out with certain members of higher up. Preston's comment about lead investors in Scott's return article, which is an unusual phrasing. There's evidence that stuff is that there are other pieces to this puzzle that haven't yet reared their head. So I think it's a good time to sort of let things play out now for a period, and then see where we're at. Because, like I said, we're still very much in the same predicament. You know, Scott's comeback doesn't mean we're safe this season. It still means we're likely to play League Two next season. But what it does do is puts a smile on our faces. We have woken up for the first time in weeks, arguably months, since Stevenage, when we won that game in late February or whenever, early March. But yeah, this is the moment of the season ultimately, hasn't it? Outside of winning the first two games of the season and sitting in 5th place or wherever we were. So yeah, it's positive. It's a positive pod today. That's what it is. It's got to be positive. We've got Scott back. We've got our Lord and Saviour of the of 22-23 who kept us up, of 23-24 who took us to Wembley and demolished Milton Keynes, and then went to Milton Keynes and demolished them again, and then decided to come back to Crawley Town. It's a staggering story this season, and honest to God, I don't know what, if anything's been captured in the background, but there's been a seriously missed opportunity for a television series for the last 3 years of Crawley Town. It is biblical the amount of stuff that's gone on that I almost feels like it's never been done before. I saw someone comment and say, "How many times has someone been permanent manager of the same club in the same season?" Like how many times? Like Scott Lindsey's now been permanent manager twice of Crawley Town in the same season.
It's
I
impressive.
can't think of that's never happened, is it? Like that's bonkers. But it just seems like that's such a us thing in this period of our history, and it's bonkers.
We wouldn't change it for the world, would we?
Well, I changed some of it. I changed some of it. I changed something, that's for sure. But it's a lovely thing to have gone to bed with last night and woken up to this morning.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we want to wish Scott and the boys good luck against Bristol Rovers. No doubt we'll be cheering them on. And whilst Reds and Exile podcast, which if you don't listen to, make sure you do, had the breaking news of Rob Elliot leaving during their podcast, we've got probably the more exciting breaking news that have happened during our podcast, and that's the signing of Timothy Lotatala, he's a goalkeeper. You've got him on an emergency 7-day loan from Hull City. He was at Doncaster during their playoff run last season. So
Wow,
hopefully we can give him a good reception when he comes to the glamorous Broadfield Stadium tomorrow, where we take on Bristol Rovers and hopefully for those 3 points.
amazing!
But thanks very much, Luke, and we'll catch you all later. Come on, you Reds.
Come on, you Reds!